everybody, and welcome to another episode of Psychic Zen 333. I hope everyone's having a wonderful night tonight. And here we are going live on Instagram as well. So let's get that repeated. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Psychic Zen 333. Our tonight's topic is relationships and ignorance. I'm here with my co-host, Nancy Barr. Nancy, say hi to everybody. Everybody say hi to Nancy.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Hello.
So, last episode, we spoke about money. Is there anything that you wanted to add from last week's episode about money that you didn't get a chance to add last week? Nancy?
Well, let's see, money. It's already there. Most of the people that are looking for the money that are listening to your show, it's already theirs. It's already there.
Okay.
And it's about vibrating at the same vibration of what you want. Get an idea of what the vibration is of what you're trying to accomplish, what you want to buy or what you want to have it for freedom or whatever the case. Many cases it might be, but see if you can understand the vibration of it. And remember that money needs you more than you need it. Without you, it has no purpose. So whatever is coming to you is already yours, and vibrate at that vibration like you already have it.
Right.
And know that it helps everyone for you to have it. I mean, it's a benefit. It's a win-win. It's a unity, high level. God's not poor.
I have a
Buying
question.
isn't poor. So,
do you think that money feels like the same vibration for everyone, or is when people tap into the vibration of money, does it feel different for everyone?
well, I think it has its own vibration. Everything does, but the way that you perceive it and the way that you want to have it, spend it, or use it, it's a combination of your vibration and the vibration of money.
Understood.
How does it make you feel? I mean, if it makes you feel happy, is it something that brings you peace and harmony? There's a lot of different aspects to it.
What does money feel like to you?
Freedom.
So when you get in the alignment vibrationally with money, do you get into the alignment with the vibration of freedom and then the money just comes, or do you is it something different?
I'd say freedom is my most important. That way you can do what you want. You can pay things that you need to pay. If there's something that you want to buy, you have the freedom to make that decision. I think money has its lessons. I don't think attachment to money is the idea. The difference, I wanted to get into this later, but the difference is that having an attachment is always going to cause trouble. It's going to bring pain. So if we grip it too tightly, if we don't understand that it's already ours and it's just going to come, it has the ability to come, and it doesn't have to come the way I think it will. It does not have to come with regulations and stipulations. If I go into the higher level of the fifth dimension, then it's like the ocean. It has many, many ways to help me receive this. And you don't want to go to the fifth dimension by need and worry and negativity. You want to go to it. Thank you for all the abundance that I have. I know it. I thank you for the abundance to set me free. Thank you for the abundance to pay this bill. Whatever the case might be.
Right. Thank you is the key. Okay. So last episode, when we were talking about money, we did have some individuals start talking about relationships, and they linked together money and relationships, and their attachment to money was mirrored in their attachment to people. And they were asking a fair amount of questions about relationships. So how do I know when I've met the right person? How do I deal with narcissist. Like there was a decent amount of questions that were listed there. So Nancy and I, I said on the podcast last week we would focus on relationships this time, and Nancy and I were discussing some things about relationships. So Nancy, do you want to start?
Probably our biggest lessons are in relationships. They're relationship oriented. So that's where, if you're going to be in a long term, if you have a long term with someone, it's usually a family member and different kinds of relationships. If it's someone that is your partner, especially now when soulmates and soul twins are so important, it could be, it's a partner that partners with you. And it's very important to have these partners. A lot of people think they can do it all by themselves and on their own, which they can maybe, but not efficiently. The way it's set up is to have or be in relationships. That's where, again, our biggest lessons are. That's where we can get the partnership if we get the right situation. How do you know that you have the right one? I guess time will tell. You'll know.
Hey Ash, welcome. You're not late. We actually started late, so you're right on time. We were just talking about relationships, and we were saying now is the time, or Nancy was saying, now is the time of people being in relationships. And I was actually just going to ask you, you had made an importance for especially now in this time, soulmates and soul twins, it's the way it's set up. But can you clarify that for people who are not so familiar with that kind of ideology or terminology?
Well, I mean, if it's just we're tribal. I mean, we're made tribal. And of course, we're masters. So most of the people listening to you are masters. So the masters are already, there's already a need or want, I shouldn't say need. There's a want to be with someone. There's a want to have a partnership. There's a want to share. And again, a lot of the biggest lessons and the biggest opportunities are in relationships. So if a person has a fear of relationships, if they've been through, they have a lot of bad experiences or experiences they didn't like, let's say it that way.
Okay.
Then they might start, the idea is if you cannot forgive, then you're never going to learn to love. You won't, it's impossible. You will not be able to. So we have relationships that sometimes we thought it was going to be one thing and it turns into being something else.
True.
And it didn't, or we had expectations, or we used habits of the past that don't work, like criticizing and judging and being upset all the time, or not paying attention to the red flags. So there's all, it's a pretty deep subject, relationships. People, are working on that all the time on YouTube. They do it full time because relationships is something that can be extremely fulfilling. And it's the other part, but many times it's the other side of yourself. So whatever you're seeing in someone else, that's also inside you, otherwise you wouldn't recognize it.
Or attract it, or just recognize it?
Just attract it or recognize it. It's all magnetism. Everything is magnetism anyway. So you're magnetizing someone, or you're magnetizing a kind of person, or you're magnetizing the same problem over and over again, or you're magnetizing something really powerful and beautiful.
So from the last episode, the questions that were coming through, I think really what they were driving towards is, how do we be in a healthy relationship? How do we attract a healthy relationship partner? How do we become the person that is capable of attracting a healthy relationship? What's the most important work that we can do on ourselves, especially if we have had relationships that did not go well? So now there's healing involved, alignment involved, and then partnership. So, Nancy, how do we do that?
Well, again, it's working on ourselves. You just said it. It's forgiveness is one. Learning. a lot of people do not know who they are. You know, they don't understand who they are.
Yep.
And so therefore, it's going to be, the relationship's supposed to fix me. The relationship is supposed to be something that empowers me and fixes me. And I have my own ideas. I don't really, this is not personal for me. I'm just using me as a example, because I don't do it to other people. But the idea is to be pure of heart and to open your heart. And people think it's risky to open your heart, but if you don't open your heart, you're not going to have the relationship. True. So the idea, you know, I mentioned to you about the word, you know, some of the words that people take offense to, and that is ignorance. Ignorance. A lot of people don't understand the male that are female, and a lot of females don't understand the male, and a lot of males don't understand the female. So one of the first things I think that we can do is improve upon our understanding, because men are different than women. They think differently, they act differently. Women act differently. A lot of women have a strong masculine side, which doesn't work in a romantic relationship, and a lot of men, you know, have a different kind of side, you know, maybe the feminine side, or I'm not saying gay, I'm just talking about, and not that anything's wrong there either, but I'm just saying the male needs to have the testosterone and the male side, the female needs to be on the feminine side with estrogen, because that is the attraction. And so the idea of a relationship is to partner and to be, to have, for the female, it's to be understood. It's to have a male understand and listen and pay attention and do something really nice for the female, which is what if someone who really cares, the male side gives and the female side receives. So if the females on the masculine side, they will not do that very easily. They're going to be too independent, or they're going to have too many expectations. They're going to be too men at it. If the male doesn't give and have the opportunity to want to give, then he's not going to feel masculine. So there's a whole study, John Gray does a wonderful job. There's so many people on YouTube that they go into this very, very deeply. But the point is, fix yourself first. I mean, if I am, why would I want someone? Sometimes people have agendas. They want someone in their life for money, help with the payments, maybe to have children. You know, there's an agenda attached to it. But the heart itself wants a partner. The heart itself wants someone to love and to be loved and to share with. So when you have the right person, that is something that's very beautiful. And it's very difficult. It's not common on our Earth planet because the men were, everybody got hacked, and the men were to be warriors and dominant, and women are submissive and breeders. Well, that's still going on more than what we'd like to admit. So the idea, how do I have a healthy relationship, is for me to be healthy, to me to be aware, have an open heart, to be able to communicate, be able to let go of all that stuff in the past that didn't work. Let go of past relationships that didn't work. Just learn from it. Just take whatever was good from it and then learn from it. If it was abusive, then why did I attract that? What's inside of me that would want to attract being abused? What part of me does not love myself well enough and strong enough that I'm going to be submissive and do everything? Why do I have to have fear and separation when it comes to someone else, and if they're going to love me or if they're not going to love me? If I'm whole myself, then, and if I understand the difference between the male and female, and if I understand the difference in communication and the importance of testosterone and estrogen being in these relationships, then I will probably be very successful.
I 1,000% agree with you. There's actually this great book that I highly recommend to everybody called How to Fix Your Marriage Without Talking About It. And the individuals who wrote this book are phenomenal. They talk about the biological differences between men and women. They talk about, we are born into, most of us are born into a masculine body, a feminine body. And when we are in cisgender, the female, we think like a female, and it never even occurs to us what it's like to think like a man, and how vastly different it is to think, feel, act, respond in the way that a man would, because it's so foreign to us. So a big thing that I tell people right off the bat is, he's not going to communicate like you, or she's not going to think like you, or they're not going to operate or feel the same way you feel towards things. And one of the greatest assets that we have in any kind of relationship dynamic is communication, to not just speak about things that are surface level, but more intimate. We have to be willing or capable of sharing ourselves in a way that we're okay with someone else seeing us. And I just did a coaching call earlier today saying that, people who go through different types of trauma, they might find it challenging to be vulnerable with another person because they're not used to dealing with, they're not used to healing or processing their emotions with or in front of somebody else, because the nurturer wasn't there originally. So what I would say is that if you are going to enter into a relationship, there's a readiness or a willingness and an ability to be able to become a partnership, a true partnership with someone else. And understand that if you have things inside that are going to block you, then they're going to have to come up to the surface to be healed in this relationship if your relationship is going to prosper. There we go, prosper. Hi, Nilda. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Okay. So if anybody has any questions for Nancy and I involving relationships, please don't hold back.
Teresa, I would say what's different now than for a lot of people and their parents is that there's the female has been pushed on her masculine side because of working in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a female that has the male and the female side. You have the male that has the female and the male side. So when you go into a romantic relationship, you have to sort of stay on if it's masculine, you stay on the masculine side, and the female stays on the female side. The female is going to receive, and it's going to share, like you said, share. And the male, if they listen and they pay attention, and they don't have to agree or disagree, they don't have to fix it, they don't have to do anything, but they just listen, that is very powerful. And a lot of women just want someone to get them. They want to be understood. And the male wants the same thing. They want to be understood. But we are going to interchange that male-female side depending on what we're doing. Whether we're working on the workforce, we might be more on our masculine side, getting things done and being more forthright, where the feminine side may be sharing, teaching, doing feminine things. So it's going to change. It's going to flip up.
Nancy, what happens when it's same-sex couples?
They still have the same thing. There's still the one usually. I mean, I can't say everybody's going to do everything the same way, but usually one will take the masculine side, one will take the feminine side, or if they're going to flip back and forth.
Okay.
And so do heterosexual people. We flip back and forth. In other words, if we understand what the male side is, and it's giving, and it's doing, and it's forceful, it's like the creator, father creator, it created, creates things. Where the feminine side is more the teacher, the sharer, the more of the other side. So, but relationships need to respect each other and have an understanding. But if they don't understand their gender and they don't understand the nature of themselves, then it's not going to work. I mean, women will be much more apt to start fights than men, and they'll because they're smart. They see things and they want to be treated a certain way. They have to learn to share that information, just not be criticizing to the male, but just share that somebody at work didn't treat me well and it really upset me, and just share it, not just, and if the male listens, they feel that they can be safe with that person, and
That's
women
true.
want to be safe.
That's true. Sorry.
So it's a science, and the more one studies and understands it, I think the better the chance he have for the relationship.
One of the things I think that's so funny is that so in the book, when I read it, and it really resonated with me, they said that for the most part, the emotion that women want to avoid the most is isolation, and for men, it's shame. And they're both rooted in our prehistoric roots, saber-toothed tigers, woolly mammoths, because if shame came about for a man, it usually indicated that he wasn't a good provider or a good protector or a good parent, good lover, that sort of thing. For a woman to be isolated, it meant she was really more susceptible to death or dying. So there's actually these bred into our brain places that like are red lights in our mind that say, oh, this is a bad area to be. So when we want,
it doesn't matter, Teresa. We need to get rid of those old things.
I do understand.
I mean, we need to, no, seriously, the big thing is we need to let go of old teachings and belief systems and behaviors.
Well, the part that I find funny about it is like with women, when we get upset, the first strong response that we have is the thing that would upset the man the most: to shame, to guilt, to yell, to be upset, to be more accusatory is almost like a knee-jerk reaction. So if you could, I think, introduce patience or a type of understanding, like you said, where men don't think the same as women or women don't think the same as men, before your anger or your upsetment drives you to the edge, to take that step back and say, okay, hey, here's this subject neutrally, and then here's how I see it. How do you see it? Because if you can understand how the other person sees it, you'll understand that they may be completely oblivious to how you think and feel about it. And then through communication, you're actually able to be like, oh, if the people really care about each other, as soon as they're introduced to a certain type of information, they're going to be more mindful or more acknowledging to the other person's feelings if it's a healthy relationship.
One of the things that I found, a lot of times we assume things, because if there's a sexual relationship early on, which maybe a lot of times we assume that everyone's thinking monogamously. In other words, it automatically means people are going to be monogamous. And that's not true until two people sit down and define what their intentions are. It's not.
Right.
And so a lot of people, okay, so even narcissistic behaviors, I know I've come across that this week too. The not getting too much into narcissistic, but let me go back to ignorance. Ignorance is ignore. The word ignore is right in the word ignorance. We usually have a different idea of what ignorance means. But that's one of our biggest problems. We ignore the subtle, hints. We ignore things that we don't want to see. We ignore what the other person is feeling or thinking. We ignore when someone says, I don't want to get serious, we ignore that, think, oh, well, that doesn't mean me, a lot of times. But if you don't love yourself, in the ignorance of ignoring yourself and building your own confidence and your own love of being, loving yourself and being comfortable with yourself and confidence, then your relationship doesn't matter. The relationship won't work. Eventually, it's not going to work.
I agree with you. There definitely needs to be a love of self that we prioritize in a relationship and before we get into relationships, so that our relationships can flourish, because we're really not going to get far if we don't love ourselves or we join into a relationship with a partner that doesn't love themselves.
Love is inside us. It's natural. Peace is inside us. And a lot of relationships, what happens, if people start dating, they start finding out about each other, and they, again, they have their differences because it's not understood yet. But then all the happiness, whatever the relationship started out having fun and enjoying, turns into serious. You're not doing what I want you to do. You're not living up to my expectation. I'm not living up to your expectation, or whatever the case might be. And all the fun goes away. There's so many relationships don't even get a chance because of all, I have this idea, you're supposed to fix me, or I have this idea, I'm supposed to have this, and we're supposed to do that, and so on. These kinds of things are usually problematic.
Right. Well, people create an idea of the type of relationship they want, but it's usually not a very thorough or well thought out idea of what they want. So it's either overly thought of or underly thought of. And then when they get together with somebody, they take their story or their created desires and they superimpose them onto that person before figuring out if that person is really, like, instead of seeing the person as they are, they see how the person lines up to what they want. And they go, oh, well, they want kids. Oh, well, they are fun like this. Oh, well, they're this, that. And that makes them so attractive. So when the person is just themselves, the more they are themselves, that could also be a place where the conflict could come in, because they're like, oh, well, you've changed since we started dating. Well, maybe I didn't really change. I've just always been myself, but your vantage point of me has changed, because in the beginning you saw how I fit this bill. And then as now we're progressing in our relationship, I'm no longer hitting all of your boxes. I'm hitting some of your boxes, and you're starting to see that I'm not capable of meeting all of these boxes, and you're going to have to decide if you can be with me for me.
If there was ever a time where the chance of relationships working out, now is it.
Why is
we
that?
have a better opportunity now to have relationships turn out and be into loving relationships, respectful relationships than we've ever had in any past time. So we're talking about this and that and all the negative stuff, but the truth is we have more information available to us than we've ever had.
That's true.
We have a better chance to have people understood and come together with the media and so on than we've ever had. You can meet people that you never would have had a chance to meet in the past. And you have more help on the self-help and the self-love and so on. We see all the problems that are going on in this world, but again, it's a small percentage.
Agreed.
And there's a lot of people that don't want relationships anymore. There's a ton of people that don't want to get married. There's a ton of people that would rather be on their own than that. And that is not probably going to bring as much happiness as if you were in a loving relationship.
I definitely agree with that. I'm very grateful. I have a good partner, and I feel like the foundation that we've been able to create together definitely contributes to a lot of happiness that we get to experience. But it's getting yourself to a place where you love yourself first, where that you can really, I think the love you feel between you and someone else is richer and deeper when you have self-love laced into it, because you love yourself. So you expect good things, and you have the energy of receiving good things, so because you already love yourself, and then you have this other person who's loving you, and you can balance with them in a nice, healthy way, because you don't need them to be something for you. You're just enjoying each other for being who you are, and it's really nice. Nancy, there's a question for us. Nelda says, my mom has dementia and we don't have the best daughter-mother relationship, but I can't seem to leave her alone without feeling bad. And today I found out that she has cancer too. How do I balance? I do everything for everyone too, my daughter's grandchildren, friend, etc. I love my family dearly and forgive others no matter what they do.
Being a caretaker is very, it's not an easy job. And being a conscientious caretaker is something where you're doing things for people that they normally would be doing for themselves, or they should be doing for themselves, but they can't for whatever reason. So there's a lot of times it's dementia is not easy. I mean, the person is not thinking, and there's not a rationale a lot of times to the thinking, and there's an anger that comes out of it sometimes, and there's a different personality that comes out sometimes, and so on. I use techniques. I just got out of a caretaking situation because the person did pass away, and they had some of the problems too. And when you find yourself wanting them to, you want relief, you want them to be normal, and they're not. And so if you're doing something and you're not doing it from the place where you're doing it and you're resenting it, then I don't think that's a very good idea. I think it's that you got to ask the universe to bring some way to help you so that you're not so pinned down and being resentful. Or you've got to change your attitude from being resentful to, this is something I'm choosing to do, so therefore I'm asking for the universe to help me do it in a loving, caring way. And when you take care of a lot of other people, now in this person that's contacted your program, if they're taking care of people that should be taking care of themselves, or the parents should be taking care of them, or somebody else should be doing their job, and you're doing it for them, then that's called codependency. So eventually, you're going to resent, or they're going to resent it. If you're in a codependent relationship, eventually you're going to resent it, or the other person's going to resent it because they know they should be doing it for themselves. The universe is not going to support that very well. But as far as dementia and these diseases that are coming in, and cancer and all the stuff, we cannot, the hardest thing is we cannot save someone. All we can do is make them more comfortable. Or we can help them get the help they need, but we cannot take the responsibility that because we are helping them, that they're going to be saved, they're going to change. They might, it could happen, and maybe what we do is something that's important enough that can help them in such a way. But a lot of times, it's not. It's a long process, and it's difficult. So being kind to yourself, keeping yourself aware that why you're doing this, how are you helping? Is there someone else that can do this because they're trained? Can you get help somewhere along the line? Well, that person doesn't want help. That person needs help. So sometimes you can't do everything, so you've got to get someone else, whether that person needs or wants the help or not.
I can also see in this question that there's a lot of different there's different pieces. So one of the pieces is, I don't have the best mother-daughter relationship with my mom, so that is an experience that turns into a belief system, because it could change, or you can decide or set an intention for what you want the relationship to be, and then saying
that takes forgiveness.
Okay. And then I can't seem to leave her alone without feeling bad. So is that, coming to terms with, if you are feeling bad because you might feel like you're giving too much, can you trust that somebody else can take care of your mom in an appropriate way so that you can step back and have a break? It's so, again, that comes back to the way we are thinking about something. And then today I found out that she has cancer. How do I make a balance? So it's also, as much as it's about your mom and you caretaking for other people, it's also about, what are you wanting? How do you want to live? How can you forgive or heal or trust others, or be able, if you feel like you're taking care of too many people, taking care of too many people, how do you step back and let people who are capable of taking care of themselves take care of themselves, and then you make a healthier balance with people? So can you trust a nurse, a personal care assistant to come in and do what's right by your family members, so you can have a break and then maybe not feel so resentful?
Sometimes it's just a matter of reassuring that person. I'm not saying the mother-daughter relationship started way before she got dementia, probably, and way before the cancer. So what good does it do to keep it? I mean, is it, why hang on to whatever that is? And if she's being abused, because dementia can be abusive too. And if she's being abused, then she needs to find a way to have professional people help. And there are professional, you can get help out there. I know, I just went through it. You can get help out there with people that have that, different organizations and so forth.
Val says to you that guilt is real. It's still difficult to do things for myself, and my mother's been gone for 2 years. How do we deal with the guilt that comes with these types of relationships, Nance?
Because it's fear that I didn't do enough. It's fear that I didn't do it right. It's fear that, I have a philosophy for myself is if I do everything I know to do, if I handle things the best way I know, then I don't have guilt. But if I think I messed up or slipped up or didn't do something or I should have done this or that, and that all goes into belief systems that we're taught. Belief systems is mental, and the mental belief systems are always going to mislead and misguide. Guilt is the most wasted, one of the most wasted energies that you can have, because it's not based in truth. It's based in illusion that something is not wasn't good enough or should have been better or different or whatever. And it's a total waste of energy, and people are ridden with it. The whole idea is, for a lot of things that go on in this planet, is to help people be guilty, feel guilty if you don't do this. Well, that's called manipulation. It's called, being manipulated and power. People, it's not going to go anywhere but down.
Right. So one of the things that we were talking.
So how do you? Well, going back to the solution, how do you get out of that? Understand that there's no way we can do everything 100%. Mistakes happen. Or differences happen. They just happen. That's just part of life. And so you learn from it. You may do it differently the next time, but, the person, the mother's been gone. My guess, if her mother has been gone, or this person's mother has been gone for 2 years, that person's in a really good place. That person doesn't feel anything that that her daughter screwed up or didn't do something or was angry at the end or whatever mishap that happened that created the guilt, or whatever didn't happen, meaning it may be ignored or whatever took place there is an illusion, and it's almost like a big eraser has already erased it.
That makes sense. Val, can you give us some feedback on that when you get a moment, on what Nancy has said? Because Val wrote back, my intelligence knows what Nancy just said, but it doesn't feel easy to deal with the emotion.
Then I would go through, why do I need to suffer? What purpose is it that I need to be punished and suffer?
That's a good one.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah, it's definitely.
If I can't let go of something, why do I want to feel bad? Why? It was bad enough to go through it the first time. Why do I want to feel bad? What gain am I getting by being punished, or punishing myself, or because guilt is punishment.
Yeah.
Why do I need that? Why am I hanging on to being punished when the Spirit wants us to be happy, loving, and caring?
That's happy. Right. That's right. Plus, it'll act as a point of attraction for other things that you don't deserve or need either.
And this is not about understanding things intellectually. This is about opening up one's heart. It's not about mental. What we're talking about with her, with this sweet thing, this person, is that, it's about love. It's about loving oneself. It's about a heart issue, an emotional heart issue.
Right. Yeah, forgiveness and saying I'm worthy of love regardless
of... What was her name?
Her name's Val.
Val is, she's a good person. She always tries her best. She works hard. I can pick up on her, I think. And she's, but having... where was it that where did it start? What happened that she feels that if she isn't perfect, she's got to be punished?
So,
or if this happened and the person passed and she didn't get the person got the last word because they left. So
true.
what do you do with that? I mean, what good comes out of it? None. Absolutely nothing.
Right. Yeah, it's good to clear the air and give love to everything, including yourself.
And start with yourself, because
exactly.
I mean, I'm sure whatever it was, things happen and people leave. You have, it's not easy, and then they leave. They pass on, or whatever the case might be. They leave, and then you're stuck with whatever it was from a one-sided position, and you can't even talk about it.
Yep.
With someone physically. So it's just the dark's way of punishing and trying to just keep that person upset.
I agree.
It's a trap. It's just a trap.
Nancy, did we cover what you wanted to about ignorance?
Well, ignorance is the biggest problem we have. It's one of the biggest problems we have. It's if we ignore things, we get too busy, we don't meditate, we don't go inside. You've got the divine, you have the holy divine right inside you in the breath. I don't mean you and I, but we do. But I'm just talking about in a general way. We have the divine, and yet we're too busy. We have the divine inside of us that's there always for anything that happens. Be it my mother passed and I was left with this guilt. Whatever the situation is, there's something right inside that will help you heal or help you have a better understanding of truth in that. And yet the ignorance, meaning ignorance is not the negative that it sounds like. Ignorance is to ignore something. And we ignore the idea that this is about me. I don't deserve that. I don't deserve to be punished for the rest of my life. When's enough? When is there enough punishment for me? If I punish myself, when does it ever stop?
Right.
It stops with me. It stops when I make a decision and a choice. It stops when I see no value in it. And that's where you get out of ignorance and into the truth.
I can recall chapters of us working together where that was the arriving to that truth was like a light bulb, because I was so blinded by my own thinking. And then, you would ask me a series of questions like, is it true? Is it real? Who said that? Where did you get the idea from? And I'd peel back the layers of the onion with you about where the idea was rooted. And you're like, look, we started out over here. And now we're around the block, down the street, at the corner, in front of the bodega. Like, this is one of these things is not like the other. Can we get some clarity in here? And it was, and it was such a revelation, because I could literally feel the weight of the thoughts that I was carrying on me and then being released when you introduce clarity.
The ignorance meaning ignoring. Okay. The ignoring comes when we don't realize that thinking, overthinking, thinking are equal to belief systems. Belief systems are learned. They're learned. They're either learned by the experience or someone taught us or both, or whatever it was, a belief system is in the thinking process. And it is usually off. It's usually off. And that's what we need to change, the way we think, the way we feel. And the difference between thinking and belief systems and knowing is night and day. When I know there's absolutely nothing good going to come out of guilt. Nothing. I can turn myself inside out. All I can do is, if I want to make amends, I'll do it differently with someone else, or I'll make amends in whatever way. But the amends are not, they're not even, that's just a way, forgiveness and amends are just a way to handle it that the mind will may accept. But it's not even needed. It's already forgiven, because it's not real. The person, all these people that are, here calling you, they're real. They're in the high level. They're high beings. And sure, we make mistakes, or we say things, or we do things that we wish that we had done it differently. But all we're doing is learning, I don't want to do that anymore.
Right. Val said, oh, Lordy, I overthink everything. So what is a way or that we can get out of the
Meditate.
meditate?
Go inside. Even if you go inside and you just sit there and say, I'm here. Let the universe talk to you rather than you tell it what's going on.
I also think that overthinking comes from fear, where we're not sure if we can trust ourselves with something or trust
Well, of
something
course it
outside
comes
of
from
us.
fear. Everything like that is first there's separation, right? Separation from the truth, separation from one person to another. Separation is the first thing. The second thing is fear. The third thing is the belief systems that match up to it. And then the fourth thing are the chatter and all the negative energies that come in and tell us how terrible we are.
That's right.
Or how terrible someone else is. Which brings back to separation, which brings back more fear, which brings back...
Yeah, and it creates a cycle. So you break the cycle by pausing the mind, right, in meditation?
Well, again, there's guided meditation, which is very helpful. There's a lot of really good guided meditation, but meditation that I'm talking about is just going in and breathing, listening to the breath, and just let the universe, if the thought comes in, let it come in and let it go out. Just let the universe handle it. Give it over. Let the universe help. Let the divine that since you have, this is the hardest thing to understand. We people say it all the time, especially masters. God is within us. We know God's inside. Do we really understand? It is literal. It is divine. It's the literal inside the breath. And I have to breathe anyways. So if I recognize it, the difference between it being there all the time anyway, and then but if I recognize and understand, oh my God, you're right here. I can talk to you. Yeah. I can ask you for help. I can sit here and I can have you, clean me up. You're right there. You're right there. You're my best friend. You're right there.
It's so true, and when you lean into it daily and you get in the
habit. And that's why ignorance, what I said, ignorance is one of the biggest problems is because we do everything but do that.
Is that out of, they sound negative, but
it's a trap. Ignorance is because we were born on earth and it was trying to keep us from our inheritance.
Right.
And then we become conscious, and then we change it. Hopefully, we change it, and it doesn't require any huge amount of work. I mean, it requires you got to breathe anyway. And I'm only using breath as one example because if you go inside and you pay attention to the light, you pay attention to relaxation. People say, "Well, I didn't feel anything." Well, if you didn't feel anything, that's good because at least you're not feeling bad.
That's true. The other thing too is I think that we trusting God, trusting our Creator, the Christ consciousness, we have to take the idea that we're solely responsible for everything off of our mind. Because when we overthink and we're trying to control it and we won't bring God in, so we're edging God out, we're not giving God the opportunity or our Creator the opportunity to be there for us and make it easy. So we have
tell God what to think. Tell God what to do. Tell God to heal you. Tell God to do this. Tell God to do that. When did it become the slave?
What do you yeah, that's true.
Saying no, I'm serious. When it's there to serve. I mean, it's in oneness that we get everything done for us. And it's gratitude, meaning I realize you're a gift. My gosh, and it's not just breath. There's a lot of ways to relax. I mean, some people can run, some people swim, some people do all kinds of different things. There's not just one way. There's many ways. But since I have to breathe anyway, and if I pay attention and concentrate on my breath for maybe 1 or 2 breaths, and it changes my life, maybe that works really good for me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with swimming, getting in a zone, running, exercise, sewing, knitting, art, music, going into music. I mean, there's so many ways to do this.
Is that
And
where?
the only thing, wait a minute, the only thing it requires is us to pay, that we recognize what we're doing, conscious what we're doing. The difference between listening to music and feeling really good and having it zoned and being zoned, or dancing or whatever we might be doing, art or whatever we choose to do. The only difference between doing it and having it work for us in a deeper way is being aware that that's what the gift is of the music, is creating a situation where I can become one with the Creator.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Nancy, about trust. Ways that we can allow ourselves to trust, or how do we trust easier?
Well, trust is the foundation that we stand on, and a lot of times that has to do with belief systems. Right now, there's a lot of mistrust because there's a lot of lies. There's so many people lying. There's so many lies everywhere. And it's not even, some people don't lie on purpose. They just don't tell the truth because they don't know it. Again, it's ignorance. It's ignoring the truth. So how do we trust? Well, I think one way is that it's going to, if you have an experience, and then it's going to go through, so that you're going to have, then the next step will be you'll have some doubt. Well, is that true? And, the mind, again, is going to sit there and go, is it true? I don't know. Was that really real? Was that me? Or was that not me? Or was that da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And then you go back to it. Eventually, if something is true, and of course you can have people saying false things are true. It's all a matter of perspective. But if something is real, I like to call it real more than true. And trust, and if something is real, it's going to prove itself. You'll go back and you'll find out more information. You'll get more information. You'll know. By the time you get done with the process, you'll know.
Isn't it a feeling too? Like earlier when you and I were talking, saying when you arrive to the understanding, or you arrive to it, it's you know that you know that you know it when you know it.
You trust.
Right.
But before you know, a lot of things, I shouldn't say most things, but many things are belief systems. They're not knowing. There's a big difference between knowing and believing. People put a lot of value in believing. Personally, I would give up all believing and go straight to knowing. That's what I want to do. I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know everything. I want to understand. I want to know. I don't, believing is just taking other people's opinions or my experience or my opinions and saying it's better than someone else's. That's separation. As soon as it takes me to separation, it's going to take me straight to fear, which is going to take me straight to the matrix, which is going to take me straight to confusion, which is going to get those negative entities trying to mess me up even more.
Right.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
It is, and it happens so fast, so quickly.
Oh, and one of the favorite ones that the chatter likes to do, and those mindsets want to do, is they want you to rehearse it. They'll give it to you over and over again, and then they'll give your side, then you'll get the other side, then you'll get your side, then you'll get the other side. It's all they can do is, they can only be negative, and they can see in your box, and they know where your wounds are. Maybe I don't know why I had the mother-daughter issue, but they do.
Yeah.
And they're going to hound me about it. And they'll be false because they tell lies.
Because they want to not have us be clear.
That's their job.
Right.
That's what they do.
I think it's like
to manipulate, misguide, and to disrupt peace, harmony, and well-being of the person. That's what they do.
Right.
That's their job. Their job is to do that. And they do it very well.
They do, but we do.
Until you stop them.
Right.
Until you stop it. And how you stop it is, you know what they're doing. As soon as it happens, you catch yourself. And then you change. You can hum. There's, if you meditate, you'll do less and less of it. That's word meditation, I think, is hard for people because they think, oh my God, I got to be up on a mountaintop with my legs crossed. No, it takes a few moments, a few seconds to go inside. And the difference between going inside, you go inside when you listen to all the chatter. I mean, people don't have problems doing that. They'll listen to the negative stuff till the cows come home.
Right.
Over and over and over for days sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nobody has a problem with that. So why would I have a problem going in and having no thought? Well, because that's where no thought is harder because the mind has to think all the time. Well, no, it doesn't. Well, before I used to sit there when I had experiences, I would sit there and go, even my mind understood that, knowing full well that the mind does not lead the parade. The heart does. Go into your heart chakra. Go in behind your heart and go into the heart. And if you're in the heart area, if you're breathing and you're concentrating on inside your heart area, right behind your physical heart, you won't have the problem.
Yeah. When I first started to meditate, there was a guy who did a guided meditation for us, and he said, the best meditation is putting some space between your thoughts. If you could just put a second of space, and if for whatever reason, the image that came to mind was that thoughts were trains, and we could control the speed of the train. So if I could control the speed of the train, then I could put space between the thoughts and create the no space. And the value of the no thought or the experience or the connection would be determined by the amount of space that I could create. So
it's too complicated.
Okay.
Too complicated. When people are in trouble, you don't want a lot of long, complicated, I gotta think this, I gotta think that. Hum. Just hum. Hum anything. Hum a song. Recognize it, hum.
And that gets you out.
Breathe.
See,
intellectually, when we sit there and think, this is what we got to do, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do all this stuff. To be honest with you, Teresa, I'm trying to simplify everything. I want something that'll change the things that are not working. I want it to be effective and quick.
Right.
And easy. And I want it to work. I want to see the results.
Everybody wants that. It was just for me.
I would hope so.
I would think that or hope that everybody wants whatever works better for them.
But the ignorance stops us. The ignoring the simplicity that can help us is the problem, is a big problem, because it only takes 1 second to concentrate on my breath.
Actually,
it only takes 1 second for me to hum. It only takes 1 second for me to say, no, I don't believe that. I don't want that. Or stop, like the chatter. Stop. Just stop.
Is there an addictive quality to the chatter? That was actually a question I thought about earlier.
Of course.
Was like, we
think it's us, and people think it's who they are. They think it's them. They think it's, it'll sit there and just annihilate someone, and they think it's them.
I was thinking about when we get into these big emotions, sometimes we enjoy the feeling of them. We may say, I'm not happy to be angry, but...
I agree with you there.
You agree?
I agree with you on a lot of things, but yes, I agree with you there.
But like if people aren't willing to let go of the anger, so say you're upset about something or someone.
People are addicted to their negative, they're so used to being in pain and hurt that it becomes normal.
Val said, I can hum. I like that idea.
Tell Val I hope she hums a lot. Just tell her to hum, tell her to smile. And the same thing happens when you smile. You can't stay too mad, when you smile. There's just fast ways. There's a lot of hacks, if you want to call it, to, a lot of this stuff where you can do something. But what behind the hum and what's behind this, Val, is you're wanting to make a choice that you don't want the negative. Behind the hum, if you're going to hum, which I love that you like that, but if you're going to hum, the purpose of the humming is you have decided and you made a choice that you don't want to suffer, and you don't want to go through that anymore. And every time you make the same choice, I don't want to do that, you're going to have success, and pretty soon it becomes automatic for you.
I can definitely attest to that. I like the tongue When you roll the tongue to the tongue
Yeah,
on the
the
bottom of the
tongue.
mouth.
You take the tongue and you roll it back against the top of the roof of your mouth, and easy, not in a harsh way. It shouldn't hurt or anything. You just roll the tongue. It stimulates the third eye, and it stimulates the crown chakra, and it can change your whole environment within seconds. You can teach people that.
I love that one. So I learned it from Nancy. But you take your tongue and you put it, the bottom of your tongue, you put it on the roof of your mouth. And then it stops your thoughts. It calms you down. And it derails the train of thought that you have. So it's very easy if you're having any kind of emotion or you're on a thought or you're in a rant, just grab your tongue, put your bottom of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and everything will just silence.
Val, can I speak to Val one more? Is she still on?
Yes. Yeah, everyone's still on.
Okay, everyone. Everyone, Val and everyone.
Val and
whoever's
everyone.
listening. Okay, actually, whoever is listening. If we can understand that love is the only answer, it's the only real thing. Love, peace, harmony, well-being, and all that is it's the only real thing that exists. That's the only thing the universe works on. It's the only thing the universe is. It's the only thing that divine is. It is only love, constant love, peace, and harmony. So all these mishaps that we do, these mistakes, or, this little anger thing here, this little thing here, this thing here, they're not going to stay. They're not permanent. It's not going to be something permanent, thank God.
Right.
So the real thing is love. So if you can go to that mentality, rather, and peace, harmony, well-being, peace is inside you. It's automatically already there. It's like having a cake with all it's having like a cake or dessert, and all the ingredients is already inside you.
Right.
And all you have to do is want it. It made it easy enough for the smallest and the youngest child could do the same thing, and the oldest and the elderly can do the same thing. The animals can do the same thing, and they do, and so does nature. And the human race needs to do it too.
What about the creative factor, Nancy? Because you gave a lot of great tools tonight that were very simple, quick, and easy, which is your how you like to do things,
Yeah.
But what about when we're looking to create? So some people want to manifest a relationship partner.
Creation is. I'm glad you brought that up. That was very smart of you to do that. I'm glad you brought that up, because the what separates the human race. You know how it was said the human race is the crown of creation.
Right.
The crown of creation. The reason it's the crown of creation is it was given imagination. It was given the imagination. Now we can imagine a lot of bad stuff, and that is also, we're very good at that. But the imagination can also imagine us getting out of it.
Yes. Yes.
And the imagination can imagine us having unlimited possibilities that join the whole ocean rather than the drop.
Yes.
The imagination was the crown of creation that it gave the human race to get them through this time period. It's a gift. The imagination is a gift. Creativity, imagination is a gift. We use I used to do, when I was speaking and went around speaking on hypnosis to a lot of groups, people say, well, I don't have a good imagination. I'm sitting there going, did you ever try to get out of school because you didn't want to go? Did you ever did you ever think about somebody was, you were being asked a direct question and you were trying to figure out how to get out of the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever? Everybody's good at creation.
Right.
And creative thinking. Imagination is people use it they use it all the time. They don't even realize they're doing it sometimes. They come up with and we can use it, but it can be used in such beautiful, incredible ways too. You can imagine yourself that you already have the money in your pocket, and the logic and the belief systems would say, well, no, you got to earn it.
Right.
The belief systems would say, that's not good, that's not possible. The beliefs and those negative entities, they will be sure to tell you, well, yeah, expect it, go ahead, you won't get it.
Right. They'll try to tear you down, which is why it's so much more important to build yourself up.
If you go to the source that is in charge of everything, then you will start realizing that you'll start learning and understanding that you are one with it. You are part of the divine. You are the divine. You are like the divine. You don't have to go to someone else. You can go and do it yourself. But the someone else, there's nothing wrong with two people using their divine energy for one thing. I like prayer.
It's actually a lot of fun to do that. I have a great time doing that.
I've always learned to do that. But my imagination is unlimited if I can, and then if I put it into the big ocean and let me see what the divine imagination is, it'll come up with things I never even thought of.
1000%.
I haven't even thought of it. There's no way I could have thought of it. I never even knew enough to think about it.
Oh my God, can't get the words out. Ash and I have been having like this star streak, and I just said to her earlier, I said, when you are living from a perspective of being somehow connected from the divine, when something great happens, you'll call it a miracle. But when you're consistently living in the high fourth and the fifth, these are just the things that happen continuously. This is your life. This is the natural way that things are supposed to be for us. And it's such a great feeling.
The divine made every leaf on a tree unique. Not one leaf is the same. Not one bee that buzzes and pollinates is the same. It's every one of them are unique. Every one of us is totally unique. And they can make everything in harmony. It's like if you have an orchestra and you have all these different instruments, but they're playing beautiful music. If it can do that, and if it can create all this incredibleness and all this beauty and all this stuff and so on, and then we take our imaginations, we create all the negative, we sit there and come up with ideas of how to steal, to be greedy, to do this, to do that, and so out of our ignoring the truth that that's not going to work, eventually it's not going to work, and it's going to come, it's good, the law of attraction brings it back to us, then we start changing.
Right. For me personally, I find that when I think about how much God loves us and all that Christ consciousness is and does for us, or that is, period, that's always my segue into that higher vibrational space, because I'm in awe of it. We have trees, we have oceans, we have the sun, we have the sky.
All of it should be that, and all of it should be that you recognize that you have the same capability. I mean, it's a greater expanded source of it.
Agreed.
But you wouldn't recognize it if you didn't have it in you.
1000%. Nancy, I noticed that we have some new people here with us tonight, and I didn't properly introduce you other than everybody say hi to Nancy. Nancy, say hi to everybody. Do you mind telling the new people who have joined us tonight who you are and a bit about you?
I'm a spirit. I'm a spirit who loves God. No, my name is Nancy Barr, and I work I do many things. I was a Buddha master. I'm a Christ energy, like everyone else that we're talking to, and I'm here to help people get to a higher level and get through this photon belt.
Nancy the hypnotist, Nancy the school teacher. I've been many Nancys, but this is the Nancy that I am right now.
Yeah, I've been
many things. I've been many things.
Who am I? I'm a person who was lucky enough to have an M on my hand that came to help the human race to get through this time period. And every one of you that have an M in the middle of your hand, you're right there with me.
That's true.
We all came to help the human race to get through this time period. If we hadn't come, they would not have made it. They only had one age to do what all of our universes had millions and billions of years to do. They were created at the very end of the the false age, and they never would have been able to get through this photon belt and get into the light. If we hadn't come, we came from Christ energy, and we came to demonstrate. But what we really came to first was to learn about dark. We understood light. We didn't understand dark. So we made many mistakes on purpose. It actually put us into amnesia so we could. But we made many mistakes on purpose so that we would understand how to get out. You can't give a gift you don't own. So who am I? I'm one of those masters.
So Val says, Nancy, I do have an M on my hand and an X as well. Can you explain the M's on the hands for us, Nancy?
The M's are the masters. It means you're a master that came, 144,000 of us came to save the human race during this time period. The X means that you have an extra job to do here.
And I love how everyone, there's an intuitive feeling that everyone who's here tuning in with us tonight has that master energy and vibration.
Yeah. Never. I don't miss X. I don't miss M's. That's the only people I work with so far. I mean, I do with everybody, but work with.
Right.
It's the masters. The masters are the key to getting this place into a better place. All we have to do is be happy. Our job now is to be happy, to show what the real God is by being loving, peaceful, and enjoy life. And understand this life is a gift. It is a total gift.
I laugh with my friends who know you all the time because I have Nancyisms in my head for everything. Like, we're not here to save anybody. We're here to light up. We're here to be happy. Do what brings you joy. Do what brings you creativity. We're here representing what the truth is, and the truth is love, and that love is all there is. We're powerful, creative beings, and
Jesus came, and what did he teach? Love.
Right.
That's what he taught. The only difference between me and someone else is I know that's what he taught. Same thing with the Buddha. Same thing with everyone who came here, the high beings, and including ourselves. We all came to bring in light. Light meaning to get through this photon belt, to get into love, peace, and harmony, and well-being, and to have the gifts of the higher levels. And that's why we're here. That's why we've been here, and it sent the best. So whoever you are, the M's on your hand out there, you are the best of whatever your uniqueness is. It sent the top.
I want to just take this moment before we close down to have like a refreshment period moment where it's like if God created unique snowflakes and unique leaves and a beautiful sky and ample everything all around us, and Source has created us and we co-create our existence, if we could just take a moment to all see our own beauty and each other's beauty, that would be amazing. Just take that in, how much love is inside of us and how much love surrounds us and how powerful we are. Because we can tap into that and we can do anything with that if we understand that that's our gift. Nancy, anything that you'd like to share in addition to that?
I think that sums it up pretty good.
Right? I thought it was good. I was really feeling the love right there.
Yeah, I think you did pretty good.
Well, this has been Teresa and Nancy in another episode of Psychic Zen 333. We love you all so very, very much. We look forward to seeing you next week. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, we're all ears, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
And that love, before you finish, that love is unconditional love.
Unconditional love.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm now done.
Hands on the heart. Just feel that good feeling and let that good feeling light your way between tonight, the next night, and all week, all long, for the rest of your lives. Just put your hands over your heart and know how loved and special you are. We love you so much. We'll see you Wednesday. Again, any topic suggestions, you could reach out to us on Instagram or YouTube. Phone number, send a pigeon, telepathic message. We'll be there. We'll get it. We'll talk about it. Everybody have a great night. And thank you so much for tuning in with us. We'll see you next Wednesday.